Hi, I'm Lin.
And I'm Leo. Welcome to our channel, Yoga with Lin and Leo.
Yes, and today we're going to be going over some of the points, or hopefully some tips in Padmasana. So I'm going to give you a demo first. Padmasana is always very challenging. You have to have very good outward hip rotation, and this you can get in all your standing poses. But we're going to come to the pose, the classic pose now. So we're going to start with your right leg. And it's really important to keep the leg down on the floor as much as you can. What gives you the rotation is the lift of this outer femur head here. So this needs to move into the body so you get a little bit more outward rotation. And then from there, you have to see, are you able to bring this leg on? This is quite challenging to move this leg forward and bring this leg into a half Padmasana. And the same the other side. It's very good to lean forward, draw the abdomen back when you come for the next side, the next leg. Also to hold on to the foot and the outer shin and scoop the calf forward towards the shin side. This is a really important action. So when you come here, you extend, keeping this thigh down, weight it down, and then bring the leg in. And then when you're there, you can sit up nice and tall, lift out of the pelvis, or and see that you lengthen your hamstrings, and then come into the action. So I'll show you on the other side now. So come into the other cross leg, so we'll change the legs around. And of course there's lots of poses before Padmasana that are very important. All the seated forward bends will help you with this action. So we come now with the left leg, and again, same thing. You're going to try to get that thigh down, lift in the outer hip. It's no good coming from here. You're going to see this outer hip lifts in, the abdomen draws back, and see if you can bring this foot onto the thigh. And then coming forward, seeing that the abdomen draws back. Taking the hand to the outer shin, and don't forget that calf muscle needs to roll forward, and then see I lean just a little bit to bring that leg, and then come up. It's really important in this pose not to force. It is all about technique, and if you're not quite ready to do, then we're going to show you some ways of practicing in a moment with Leo. Don't forget, once you're in the pose, that there is still more to do. You have to lift up, go and see that those outer hips move in, the hamstrings lengthen, and then you can extend throughout your spine, and you can get an evenness through your Padmasana. So it may take you a long time. Sometimes people struggle with this for many years, but just keep practicing and be consistent with all those forward bends and all those outward rotations in your stand-ins. So we're going to come to Leo now, and she's going to show a couple of ways. Well, just, direction really. This is what we really need, isn't it?
And don't get too hung up on, if this pose is one that you can do, that's lovely, but many of us start out with stiffness in the hips and the legs and not being able to get into this pose easily. If you just try and force yourself into it, you'll injure yourself. So there's no point doing that. You just have to work in ways that are a little more soft and clever and intelligent with your body, so that you can access this pose eventually. That might take a week, a month, a year, 10 years, maybe a lifetime to get into it, but don't force it, whatever you're doing. Alright, so we're going to show a Gomukhasana action with the legs. It's not a true classic Gomukhasana. You can see here I've actually got 4 foam pads, a blanket and a brick, because you are going to need those for some of the other actions that you're going to do. I'm just going to sit in cross legs onto the mat. Now, this action is like an extreme cross-legged action, really. It's more like extreme cross legs than it is like Gomukhasana, to be honest, isn't it?
Yeah, you really are rinsing out the hips with this pose. So be prepared if you feel that those fibers are really quite tight and painful. Just be prepared for that because it's quite challenging, isn't it, this action?
It is, and you can see that for me, because my hips are stiff, my knees don't actually touch the floor. For many people, for many of our students, coming into this action is really difficult. So it may be that at this stage, you're better off sitting on a height. Certainly when I started with this action, sitting on a height, and you can just sit there. You can spend 5-10 minutes sitting like this on each side, and if you do that daily, it starts to open out those muscle fibers on either side of the hips. So you can, I'm only spending a little time in it, otherwise we'd be here for hours, but you can spend as long as you like in it. So again, you can see this action. You'll probably feel a stretch down the outer part of your hip. If you've got tightness in your groins, it will feel tight in your groins too. And maybe that you can sit on the floor, maybe that you can sit up. It's just wherever you are at this moment in time. Okay.
I think what you were saying, Leo, definitely is the consistency. It's so important if you're after these very mobile hip actions that you've got to practice some of these preparational stages, really important, but regularly.
Yeah. These are essential preparatory actions that you have to just encourage the hips to open. So the next one we're going to do,
yes, is Ekapada.
So with this, you just keep the left leg out straight. I'm mirroring you here. You lift your right leg up. Now you can see I'm supporting underneath the ankle. I'm not just tugging this leg. I'm supporting, and again I'm sitting on a height because that will help with the lift through the chest. And you just lift the foot up. So for me, this is my difficult side. And there's a little bit of immobility in the hip. So you just rock it a little to get a little bit more mobility, and take it up and draw the foot towards the face.
And you can see how Leo's creating that mobility, bringing the leg towards, taking it away, and this is really quite an important thing, just to go through some of those boundaries. Don't force, just go to those edges and just be there until you can go a little bit further. And also the abdominal action is really important, that drawing back and lifting up through the centre of the body, as you can see Leo's doing this with this action here.
So I'll just show on the other side as well. So again, it's this lifting up and just get a little bit of openness here on this hip. So the side's a little bit easier for me. So those are the preparational actions that we're doing. So now Lin's going to talk me through this. We're going to come into a half Padmasana action. If this is difficult at this stage, you just stay on those preparational actions and work on those for a little while.
Okay, so if you're ready for this next stage, then be on your mat in a Sukhasana action, Okay, so it varies. Sometimes people take their leg from the outer side and some people take it from the inner. We tend to take it from the inner side. So you will be taking the inward leg in your Sukhasana towards the thigh in this way. So this is very challenging, you can see here. So what's really important is to try to get this movement as Leo's creating here, just a little bit of mobility in the hip, and just to let the left thigh completely release and relax. So you've got to soften that, and then gradually let the leg come down in this way. So both of the outer femur heads need to go in quite strongly to give you that space in the lower back region. But as you can see here, it's just starting to come quite nicely. So half Padmasana, it does take time. Make sure you're getting that extension throughout the whole of the body. When we mention about lifting in your abdomen, you need to lift from the very base of the abdomen, as you can see here. Leo's encouraging that action. Through past those frontal hip flexors, very important. And then lifting up, and then releasing. So as you saw there, Leo wasn't aggressively pulling her body, and this is really important. You have to listen. Your body will tell you what's a good action, what's a not so good. So do listen to that. And then picking up, you can see Leo's rotating the calf and picking up that leg. And then again, just seeing that there's a little bit of movement happening here, just rocking the leg a little so that there's a little bit of mobility coming, and then bringing the foot towards the thigh. And eventually, as the mobility increases and improves, then you will find the foot will go a little higher and a little higher. Yeah.
So this is a side that's not quite so good for me. And it's a little more difficult to get the action on this side. So what I might do under normal circumstances, if you're here, it might be prudent to just use the brick. So
yeah, and that's an excellent way to come into towards the Padmasana action. You feel as if you're coming nearer and closer to it in this position.
because you can lift up and open here. If you get this movement back of the abdomen, you use your hands to lift you. You can lift, open, and get this thigh to release.
Yeah, so it does take time, especially if you've got, quite a difficult bound area. So do keep practicing, keep at it.
You can then sort of have a little play around there to, move it across, see if you can release it. It's work in progress for me at the moment, but
Yeah.
That's what yoga is like. You never get there as quickly as you hope.
Yeah, it just takes a bit of time.
So come back into your Sukhasana now. Thank you for joining us today for this Padmasana. It's been more of a tutorial really, hasn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yes, isn't it?
But we've enjoyed teaching it. We hope you've enjoyed viewing it. If you have, please click on the like button. We look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.
Namaste.